Welcome back to Empower Your Soul. Today is all about the madness that is the Mediumship Mastermind group that I have. There has been a lot of amazing things going on, and I'm loving all my students on there. But before I dive into what happened this week at the Mediumship Mastermind, I want to just remind everybody, if you're unfamiliar with what this is my group of essentially medium development for amazing professionals, amazing beginners, amazing intermediate mediums out there. And the goal of this for me is to create a safe space to continue your development. And I created this mastermind because I keep looking for mediumship classes. I keep looking for them over and over again, and I just get so lost in the quagmire that is the internet. I get lost in the way a lot of mediums approach development, because they'll have one-off classes, you'll have one-on-one mentorships. And for me, once you reach past the stage of being able to connect with spirit, which is your beginner's class, being able to actually connect, from there, development really just needs to focus on practicing. And it's great to have classes and tools and additional things that you learn along the way, which is 100% the intent of this mastermind. But the biggest thing that you can do to advance your mediumship abilities is actually practice over and over and over again. And that's how I got so good so quick at this work, is because I literally would practice for 2-3 hours a day. I would call in dead people as I was driving to and from Boston, and an hour without traffic on a good day, So on the bad days, it was like 2.25 hours to drive home. And I would just talk to dead people, pull them in, and practice all commute home, the entire ride home. So for me, it's less about the classes and it's more about the continuous practice and the development that is uniquely yours as a mediumship student and professional. Because we all have our different strengths in this work. We all have our different, I'm going to say, improvement opportunities in this work. And so for me, the classes tend to be so broad brush. And I really wanted this customized mediumship development experience for you. When I say for you, I wish this had existed while I was growing up as a little mediumship minion, right? I wish there was a safe space for me to just come every week to practice, maybe to learn a couple things, and not have it be so formally structured, really just let it flow, let the classes flow out, etc. Because what I've realized along the way is everyone, again, has their mediumship strengths. And so when we get together and we get in the same room and we practice together, when we practice the unique ways that we bring mediumship alive, that's where the money is. That's where the best learning is when you can learn not only for yourself, but from others that are also of high integrity, of high quality, of dedicated, dedicated motivation. I don't know what the right word is here. And so that's why this is actually called a mastermind, because I'm facilitating it, but I always open it up to everybody else to help answer questions. What's your experience? Because I'm not going to pretend to know absolutely everything about this work. Spirit is a black box, everybody. I don't always know what we're going to get in these readings. And the more that I work with other mediums, other professionals, the more I realize everyone has their own unique experience. So I want to bring everybody's experience into this mastermind in a safe space for everyone to learn at their own pace and using as much knowledge as possible. So for that reason, the Mediumship Mastermind exists. And it is meant for anybody that can connect to spirit at a minimum. And what it entails is essentially 5 sessions a week, which include, and it's Monday night Eastern time at 8:00 p.m. And every other week it's just a practice circle. Just show up and practice whatever you got to practice. And then every other week it's a spirit-led class. So either people in the mastermind will ask me for specific class ideas. I might get downloads from Spirit that I need to cover this tonight, but I really let the group and Spirit lead me into what I should be teaching during these classes. In addition, I also am recording all these classes and I posted them for everyone to be able to access, as well as previous classes that I've created as part of other teaching communities. So all of that is posted out there. There's a good handful of classes out there. It's all on demand. And then we also get together once a month for coffee and chat. Let's just get together and just chat. You can troubleshoot, you can ask me any questions. And in addition to all of this, we have a Voxer group chat where people can toss things down, create the community experience, ask troubleshooting questions, ask for sessions to practice with other people outside of the sessions. And so it's really meant to just be an entire mediumship development experience, so you don't be alone, and so you can get the best teaching with the best community all in one. And the people who have signed up for this, hang on, before I go into that for a second, please hold, because Spirit also wants me to remind all of you, excuse me for this, I feel like a prepubescent man when I do that, teenage boy. The other thing that Spirit wants me to really hammer down, because this is very, very unique, is that when you join this group, you get partnered up with me as well. So I might be with you and I might be giving you a reading. I might be exchanging readings with you because I want to practice too, right? And while you're practicing, I might be able to give you a little bit of feedback, right? I might be able to check your connection. How's your connection doing? So for me, this is an awesome opportunity for me to kind of give you little sprinklings of teaching along the way. And I always try to partner myself with the new person first and continue to make sure I'm kind of cycling through the group as much as possible, just because I want everybody to have that amazing experience too, and that confidence and that feeling that they belong. And if I'm there and if I'm getting downloads from Spirit, you're sure as heck going to get that information, that download, that mentorship while I'm there if I'm partnered with you. So think of it as kind of development, mentoring light. But I'm not going to be the person typically, unless we have odd numbers, that sends you off into your breakout groups to go figure it out yourself. I will be there helping your development along the way, which is what I love to do. I love to do that. I'm a projector, for those of you that are into human design. So those of you that know what a projector is, I can really pinpoint what's going on and how to fix it. So that's my 2 cents that Spirit wanted me to add. And getting back to the students that are in this class, this mastermind, I am blown away by the talent that has joined this mastermind. And these are people who have taken my beginner's mediumship class. These are people who have taken a beginner's mediumship class elsewhere and found their way to me. They are former they're colleagues of mine, right? Like, you have professionals, you have people that are doing this professionally that are in this group, people that are beginners. So it really runs the gamut in terms of mediumship experience. But the common thread between all of them is, God, they are so amazing. They are so amazing. And I'm afraid to honestly publish this podcast episode because I don't want to ruin the dynamics of this group, right? I want to make sure that I'm continuing to draw in people like these amazing mediums that are in there today, because these mediums are so high integrity. They really care about the work and making sure they're communicating and doing it right? We have people that have lots of different modalities, and they're allowed to practice whatever they want in these practice circles, but they bring the expertise of these other modalities to the mediumship work. So not only are they lovely and friendly and kind and patient and have the high integrity and just lovely people, but also they all come with their own external tools outside of mediumship that is giving us all knowledge and information too. So they're so diverse in their knowledge as well. And so I can honestly say I love every single person that's in this mastermind. I feel so grateful that they can trust me with this, that they continue to show up and continue this mentorship, this mastermind. And I'm so thrilled to see just the progress of all of these people, of all of these women so far. and how far they're coming by dedicating this time monthly, weekly, to continuing their progress. I can't say enough about how amazing they are and how proud of them I am in terms of their mediumship development. I know that every single person that is in this mastermind is going to go far. They can take this as far as they'd like to. And I'm obsessed with that. So let's talk about what happened on Monday night. And this was Monday night after I was on the Amazon Live that I did to promote the Intuitive Entrepreneur book that was published recently. That was a blast, by the way. But Monday night was so interesting, and I actually didn't write any notes, but I probably should have, because it was wild. Like, it would, the night was so wild in terms of like spirits and downloads and what we needed to, like, I'm gonna get my notebook out while I'm chatting with all of you, because don't go there, spirits tell me. There's some personal stuff that came up at the beginning. I'm not going to go there because this is a public forum. But what was wild was what happened in the readings. And it doesn't always happen like this, but it was like this culmination of all of these things that have been swirling in my head, and the spirit literally doing them all in the session with my students to kind of show me I'm on the right track with a lot of this stuff, and I just need to start moving on all this stuff. So that was a really cool sign for me. So first of all, I pulled in, there was a woman that had recently lost a pet in there. And so and emotions were running high, fair enough. And so I just felt called not to necessarily do mediumship. I said, I'm just going to open it up to spirit and see what spirit wants you to know today, because she has a lot going on right now that are very, very high emotions. And so when I opened it up, I saw a woman there, and it felt like a guide to me. So I said, well, let me see who this is. If you can recognize it, great. If not, this is definitely a guide. And so I saw this old woman, and she was, she was frail. She was kind of keeled over a little bit. She had a cane, and she's a Spitfire. So I'm going through this description of this woman and how she's a Spitfire, but she's so observant and she's so loving, but she knows everything. So I'm going through this whole description of this woman, and we figure out it's her guide. We figure out who the guide is. It is someone that's in one of my oracle decks. So it's a goddess guide. So I go in, I pull out the card in the oracle deck, and then the card says exactly what I've said to her in terms of this guide that comes through. And then later on in the class, after I deliver this spirit guide, this message to my friend here, later on in the class, she gets paired with somebody else who brings in the exact same guide. Are you ready for goosebumps? The exact same guide says the exact same things that I said, down to physical description, personality description, message, etc. It gives the exact same evidence of who this person is, personality, in the exact same order. Can you even believe that spirit would do that? And so it was like a copy paste session from me to another medium that was in there to make sure that obviously this woman heard the message from her guide. But not only that, I love it when spirit does this. It's like spirit showing off, and they just prove that we are like little lemmings down here on earth, and we're just these little beings that don't even comprehend or know what's going on. The fact that this guide came through and did the exact same reading twice in a row, unreal. And so this really gets my mind into this part. The original intention of this was to experiment, and I love that spirit literally just gave us an experiment live in the session through this guide to prove that spirit can do whatever we want them to do. Hang on, let me rephrase that, because it's not about what we want them to do. Spirit is capable of more than we could possibly even fathom here in the physical world. And so when we beat ourselves up for not receiving information, not getting information, and I think it's such a wonderful use case to show that We are just the recipients of this information. It's not about us. And so we have to 100% trust that what Spirit's going to bring through is what they're going to bring through. And we have to trust that. And I just love that they showed up in this way. I need to ponder this one a little bit more. But isn't that wild that this woman got the exact same reading from 2 different mediums in the same night? Wild. It's wild. So what else happened is that, oh my God. A woman asked for her, this was not my reading, this was another reading. A woman asked for her dad to come through. And when her dad came through, it was almost like 2 people had come through. So one was the dad that she knew here in this physical world, and one was the soul version of the dad, which was very different than the incarnated version of this dad. And I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, and I think it's so important to, again, separate out who you are as this physical incarnation, I am Nicole, versus who is the soul of Nicole in this higher level being that has unconditional love, unconditional knowledge, unconditional abilities, unlimited potential. And so I love that this dad came in almost as 2 different people with completely different evidence and completely different personalities. And when we brought it back to the group and talked about it, I just kept seeing it was like a mirage. So it was the same person, but it was like, a double-sided mirror. He's this one person on one side of the mirror, and he's the soul on the other side of the mirror. And it was an invitation for I'm going to say my student. I don't know what else to say. My friend, my peer. I think of everybody in the Mediumship Mastermind as my friend. So I'm going to say student for some simplicity's sake, but I think I'm also a student too. We're all students in this mastermind. That's the whole point of this. So this student, it was an invitation from her dad's soul to work with him very differently than she had in the past, to work with him as a guide instead of the incarnated version of his, him in this physical world, which was a very different, not so loving person. And so it was so great because when she asked that, I had to check in with Spirit, and I'm like, okay, no, that's definitely what it is. You're working with his soul. And then I just loved that another student / friend chimed in and said, this is what I'm getting from Spirit as channeled information. And she more eloquently said it than I did. Right. And I love that. Again, it's a mastermind. We're all working together. We're all here to solve each other's problems. And there's no competition. There's no competition. And I think that is the biggest aha with this group is there's no competition, because I don't know if you've been in mediumship groups. I don't know if you've been in breakout groups, classes, trainings, practice circles. Mediums are nasty. I'm sorry. I'm saying it. They are so nasty to one another. There is so much judgment. There is so much better than thou attitude with a lot of these development circles. And I know it's not just mediumship. So if you're listening in and you're in Reiki, it's probably similar, right? Like everyone judges what are my capabilities versus what are your capabilities. And so that's what makes this such a safe space is that there is no judgment. There is no competition. We are all in it to win it. And we all know that we make each other better. And I think that is giant underline. That is the amazing part of this mastermind that we have today. So yes. So thank you to Carly, who I'm going to have on the podcast soon, for chiming in for my student, for my friend here on dad being a guide. Right. I tried to say it. I was a jumbled mess because I was on that TV interview, and Carly came in and like really laid it out in a way that she could understand it. And I love that. I love that so much. Your ears are probably ringing, Carly. And then at the end of the session, I think this is the last, I'm like looking at my notes. At the end of the session, everyone came back from the second, and this was a practice circle session. Everyone came back from the second practice circle breakout groups, and everybody came back asking about multiple spirits. It was amazing. It was ridiculous because everybody in the breakout groups got multiple spirits, or I think most of them did. And so they were all asking questions about how do we know when it's multiple spirits? What do we do? How do we, and I'm like, well, I guess that is time. That is what we will cover next week in class, is we will cover multiple spirits, because everyone is going to, depending on what their strongest clair is, you're going to be able to feel or detect multiple spirits in very different ways. So I love that Spirit's literally giving me a week to prepare for this next class, because in my head, I know how I do it. And now over the course of the week, they'll give me downloads and drops of information of how other people might do it from the clairs. They usually give me homework to scroll on TikTok and watch other mediums, kind of work on there sometimes, or go research on YouTube. So I love that they give me, as in my students and or Spirit, give me a task or give me a class topic, and then Spirit will proceed to literally hit me with knowledge all week about that topic, so that I can present that information to the group. This is the magic of the mastermind, everybody. It's not just us, I guess it's Spirit as well. So I loved the fact that everybody came back from the second group saying, we had multiple spirits, what do we do? And I'm like, there it is. There's the next class. Thanks, everybody. So it was really cool. And then we had a little Q&A at the end. They dropped some other questions, such as how to unblock yourself, living mediumship. That's a whole other podcast episode coming up. So it was just really cool to see the magic unfurl in Monday's session in a way that I haven't seen it before. And maybe this is a function of when I was in corporate world and we would create groups, there's this function of storming, right? Norming, performing. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's essentially group. It's like the group camaraderie development, and it's the stages of group friendliness. I don't know, the stages of being a group. And so I wouldn't say we had any storming, but I think there was a little norming. I think we had to all kind of get used to each other, and now we are performing. We are literally up and running with this circle, with the Spirit, with the mastermind. And I feel like our frequencies have all started syncing. Is that a thing? It's like a menstrual cycle, but it's not. Our frequencies have started syncing. And I feel like we are now, as a collective in this group, amplifying the energy and the potential for our mediumship. Because I've actually heard a few of the students say, I'm not as good outside of this class. And realistically, it's true. It is true, because while you're in that class, you're surrounded by the amplified energy of intuitives, of mediums that are in their power. And so when you get together, it's not like if there's two incredible mediums in a room together, it's not that the energy doubles, it's exponential. And so it doesn't surprise me that a lot of these students are having amplified experiences, better readings in this practice session, which, by the way, is where it's the safe space to fail. So I love this. I love the whole dynamic of this. I hope you don't mind me really going into a lot of the detail and promoting this. But if you are interested in joining the Mediumship Mastermind, I can't believe how cheap it is. I can't believe so it's $44 a month. And stop. I might change the platform on that. I'm gonna put a pause on that for a minute. But it's $44 a month for 2 practice circles, 2 classes, as well as Voxer access to this community and access to me as well once a month through these coffees and chats, and with a little bit of mentoring in here as well. You are not going to find a cheaper mediumship development circle, period. I haven't seen it. And I can tell you, if you go on to even practice circles at A Journey Within, I think those are $12 or $15 each now. And they're not going to coach you like I coach you in these sessions. They're not going to teach you things. They're going to make you sit in the power and meditate for half the class and then go off to breakout groups, and good luck to you. So I'm just going to tell you, you're not going to find it cheaper anywhere else. So if this is something that interests you, I'd love to see you out there. Head out to my website, mediumnicole.com. I believe it's under the learning. I'm just going to check really quick while I'm looking. It's under Learn, and then it is group classes. I got to make that easier to navigate. If it moves, I'm sorry, but it's under there. It's under the group classes, and it's the Mediumship Mastermind, and you can go on and sign up. I would love to see you there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You can email me, podcast@mediumnicole.com. Otherwise, I am looking forward to the upcoming classes that we have. And by the time you listen to this, we would have completed the multiple spirit class, but it would be recorded. All right, that's where I'm going to end it today. I just want to thank you so much for being here, for listening in. Thank you for my amazing Mediumship Mastermind students. You are all killing it. As my lovely friend Rael says, you are all knocking them alive every single class. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for being there and trusting me on this journey. For everyone else, thank you so much for listening in. I really appreciate you. And from my soul to yours, I hope you have a beautiful day. Take care.